Journey into Comics.
Poor 360.
Journey into Wrestling.
Foodies watching movies.
Adulting ain't easy.
Podcastrophe.
Kids for Sale. Voice Survival Podcast. Crucial Tunes.
Gallifradio.
Brews with Dudes.
Dungeons with Dudes.
Subscribe to Journey into Comics Network on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or at journeyintocomics.com.
The following
Journey into Comics.
Journey into
It's a
Comics.
journey into comics.
Journey into Comics.
Journey into Comics.
Journey into Comics.
Network.
Production. I am Andrew Poor, host of Poor 360 and co-host of Adulting Ain't Easy and Foodies Watching Movies, and I want to thank you for listening to the best of the week, the one place you can get a taste of what our network has to offer.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Journey into Comics.
We are live right here at the North End Pub for Fun For Funds, a Journey into Comics Network event. We've just been slayed by all of the bands. We've had all the podcasts. It's time to do the wrap-up. We're bringing the Nerds of the Round Table back. Let's just get that shit right out of the way. Nerds of the Round Table 4, and I brought an amazing cast with me today. We're going to go clockwise, actually, just to be fair. We're going to have our first-timer on the show today. Welcome for the first time ever, Alex Buckles.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you on the show.
Appreciate it.
You have been guesting on Dungeons with Dudes quite frequently.
That is correct, yes.
You just got through with the Death House.
Yes, round one of the Death House, into Barovia Bros, I believe is the new tag for it, yeah.
Shit, yes. And up next, we're going to introduce the man, you know him and love him from Podcastrophe every Thursday on the Journey into Comics Network and also on podcastrophe.podbean.com. Welcome, Dick Tyner.
I'm Dick Tyner.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks.
You good?
I'm good.
Great. I'm glad you're here. Welcome back. Also, returning to the show for the third time in 4 weeks. It's become kind of a it's a fling right now. What's up with that?
Hey there, bub. I'm that guy that you invite in for a holiday and then I just don't leave.
I'm okay with that. Welcome back to Journey into Comics.
He's really playing out the Minnesota long goodbye.
Real quick,
Tyler.
Can we verify that mic?
couch
has a
because
shape print
I'm
on it at
sure
this
I'm not
point?
hearing
Yes.
any sound out of that one there. Bump.
And I'm just saying something to fill the awkward silence.
You got some good H2O in that thing.
I
there?
have
Buckles
green
turned up
tea.
now.
Green tea
You
and
try
honey.
just say anything, Buckles.
I will say anything.
Yeah,
Buckles.
we got you there,
Much
bub.
better.
Absolutely.
Also
Yeah, we got
joining
you
us,
there.
a first-timer on the Journey into Comics podcast. Not a first-timer on the network. He's been featured on Podcastrophe, Brews with Dudes, Dungeons with Dudes. You've seen him everywhere. He's kind of a network whore, as it were.
That's how I
Welcome
started out.
to the Journey into Comics Network podcast, Mr. AJ. How's it going?
It's going all right until you called me a whore.
It was in love. It was a love whore. It was
A whore
Hey,
in
man.
love. This
You're
is
you're
even
the
better.
pretty woman of the podcast.
That's
here,
how
Buckles.
I
that's
started
exactly
out. That's
what it
how
is.
Blaine started out,
I mean,
too.
he doesn't get paid for it, so is he really a whore or is he a slut?
Well, he could just
man.
be.
I'm just building up
getting
my
paid in,
reputation.
Groupie.
emotional
Groupie.
attachment.
Yeah.
I was gonna say groupie is the perfect phrase.
He's
there.
Or a
the- he's
roadie.
the,
I'm getting
sorrow.
I'm getting a lot of what people in the industry call notoriety.
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 People
Okay.
remember his name.
So we're here for a purpose. I've got questions. You guys might have questions or topics to throw at me. I want to just get this out of the way. As you guys know, recently Fox officially purchased by Disney.
Right.
We now officially have opportunities for the X-Men Fantastic Four, and I don't know if you guys saw it. The only person who made it onto Disney's site after the merger was Deadpool. Mm-hmm. Ryan Reynolds
yeah.
is not going anywhere as
'Cause-
Deadpool.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they have outright said that they are rebooting everything
Oh yeah.
sans Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
They've actually come out and said they were keeping it at an R rating, I do believe. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that it is a genius move, but that's not why we're here to talk about how good the move is and how this and that and the other. I have a genuine question. Right now, you guys have been given the keys to the kingdom. Kevin Feige said, fuck it, I quit. I want to go do shrooms in the forest. And it sounds like a Kevin
I'm
Feige
sure that's
thing.
how we got Beta Ray
Sure,
Bill.
let's do that.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out.
Okay, so here is the question I have. I don't know who wants to start. Throw your hand up when you're ready. You guys have all kind of been privy to this
I got
question
this.
before, but you have the keys to the kingdom. You are now tasked with finding a way to introduce the X-Men and the Fantastic Four into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Choose your own adventure. How do you do this? Buckles.
First thought I had, honestly, I sat here and puzzled over it, but really Fantastic Four has their own origin story that sets alone from everything else. You can do their origin story as is, pretty well just from the start.
Do you think, though, that with them having already done that in more accurately in the 2005 version and way the fuck less accurately in the 2014, whatever the hell that was, do you think that that's, again, almost like the Spider-Man origin? It's been overdone, and maybe we need to just get into the action?
Yes and no. I think it still could be done, considering that people have pretty well forgotten the Chris Evans Fantastic Four at this point.
Fair point. He might have been a Skrull in that universe.
I would hope so at this point. So.
I want to throw this in there, too. Let me ask you this. If you're a fan of the Fantastic Four, now that they're going to be breaking in on the scene here relatively quickly, I would imagine, how soon do you want Galactus? Because, in my opinion, he's got to be your next big bad, like Thanos. He's got to be.
So then he's 22 movies from now.
He's got to be.
Truthfully, I'd rather see the Annihilation Wave than Galactus.
Okay, I like it.
I think that maybe Galactus is if you want a genuine endgame for the whole MCU, they're wrapping it. They have told their story. Let very Galactus true. Be the guy that fucking comes and puts it on them.
That could be very well. I don't know. Somebody suggested to me earlier, I like the idea of Doom being the next main villain just because it will bring things back a little bit lower to center.
Yeah.
A little bit back to earth, I guess would be the right way to put it.
He's such a visceral villain.
It is, and it would be a nice turnaround from Thanos.
Well, and I think Dr. Doom is a character that can be thwarted in movie one and just keep lingering and keep nagging you through 10 movies.
And in the third movie, he's paying the bad guys to do his bidding because he's building Latveria.
He's intelligent enough to be the puppet master and pull the strings.
Very true.
And maybe a little bit of anti-hero Dr. Doom thrown in there too, where, hey guys, I'm trying to help you out. There's this dude, he's being a dick, and then it turns out that it's Doom been the one pulling the strings all along.
Damn, that would be gangster. Especially if you start to introduce, say, Norman Osborn, and he gets pulling from Doom.
Yeah.
I mean, then the interconnectivity becomes, that's just like...
You've always got the red herring of having a Doom bot.
Yes.
Things like that.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Man. You know what? I will say this. We covered this on the podcast a long time ago. Veronica and I actually watched the unreleased 1992 Fantastic Four movie.
Really?
It's pretty fucking good for 1992, let me tell you. Like, I want them to release it now that they have it in their catalog because Disney owns it.
Yeah,
it really exists.
I can't remember who all was. If there was anyone of name in
not really anybody of note. No, it was a lot of nobody guys. I tell you, whoever they had played Doom was fantastic. He nailed the character, maniacal, evil. He goes from skewed to totally fucking left of center. Like, it was amazing. But back to it.
Was he Fantastic Four?
What? Oh yeah, I see what you did there. I got you, AJ. I got you. But I like the concept of finding a way to utilize Doom maybe to bring in the Fantastic Four because Doom could be your front door, the Fantastic Four just coming in the rear. The
kind of cool thing I've always thought about Doom was that he ties in with all the other characters so well. Like, hell, he even does enough magic to bring in Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
you can still get a lot of that in there.
Fuck yes.
I got the perfect idea.
Okay.
It's perfect. Let's hear it.
AJ, bring it on to us.
Basically, we're gonna reset this entire universe anyway, so it doesn't matter how I bring them in.
Keep talking.
What I want to do is we can bring the X-Men in and we can bring the Fantastic Four in, but they're gonna be from the universe in which Mr. Fantastic opened up a parallel universe, finding out a parasite that turned everyone into zombies. Superheroes became zombies, ran rampant throughout the entire world.
I like it.
So,
I like where you're going with
Mr.
this.
Fantastic and the Fantastic Four and the X-Men all come back as zombies through like this interdimensional rift and just cause this entire apocalypse on a new world.
Can I be honest?
And that's how you introduce it to the universe, because then you can just reset. We're done.
I'm not going to lie. If you decide to do Marvel Zombies, take my money right
now.
Yeah. You can't take it fast enough.
Robert Kirkman murdered that story.
I thought you were going to say Howard the Duck.
Oh.
We're already going places there. We're working on that already. Kevin Smith's doing it already.
The animated,
Yes.
What do you think, Tyler? X-Men and or Fantastic Four and or both?
I think the quickest and easiest and maybe the most action-packed way to bring them all in at once. Do a little Secret Wars, a little battle plan action. You drop them. You
Dude,
drop
Super Bowl should be awesome.
everybody from this generation of Marvel in on a battle planet. You have someone like Doctor Doom or any villain that you make captain of whoever, you know.
The Beyonder in this universe.
Bring the Beyonder in, and then.
Dude, that would be.
This is going to play really well into
Chubby right now.
Then you let the Fantastic Four and the cast of the X-Men, whoever you decide to recast in those roles, you let them be the supporting cast for who's left of what we have right now, and then going into quarter 2 of the MCU, you just play off of all that supporting cast that you've created on Battle Planet.
Okay, I have an interesting thought because it's going to tie back in another big component to the Secret Wars, Kang the Conqueror.
Mm-hmm.
We know,
pretty
much that time travel is going to be a thing in Avengers 4. Right. Kang does not like people fucking with time.
Right.
What if he were to show up and be like, Battle World is coming and you don't know when?
Right.
Like, it's coming. And then at some point, the fucking Avengers all come down, Mr. Captain Marvel lands, Spidey-Man, fucking Black Panther, whoever you want to have in your cast, and the fucking entirety, like Sokovia, starts to go into space, and they can't stop it, and they have no idea, and they're just like, what, you can't. Then, quickly, let me say one last thing. Not only can you introduce both the X-Men and the Fantastic Four through your idea, you also back-channel a pure black suit Spider-Man the correct way.
Yep.
That's where I was going to go. I was going to go... With the partnership between Marvel and Sony right now, if the next Venom movie fails and they don't continue to go down the road that they're going right now, I'm one of the people that enjoyed Venom. I know
I liked it well.
I know that you
Not
did
perfect,
not
but I liked
enjoy
it.
it.
And you know why it wasn't that it was the worst thing ever. I think I said pretty valid reasons and what my disdain for how they changed the actual origin of that character is. Other than that, I thought the movie isn't bad.
But if you want Black Suit Spidey, you got to do it that way.
The kind of cool thing, I hadn't even considered this, but if you're talking about doing the Battle World and bringing in, you have gloves off to do whatever you want. That's how you can also integrate your Defenders in. If you
Absolutely,
still want to do the Netflix stuff.
Well, and there's characters that kind of got a bad first shake at it, like
Hulk.
the Lizard.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
You know, you think back to 90s animated Spider-Man.
Kirk Connors is the fucking man.
Throw him in on Battle Planet and let's see what happens, you know.
Give me an Electro that's not Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
Yeah. How about
let's
a
see
non-Alfred
it.
Molina Doc Ock?
Yes.
I didn't mind.
I liked
but
Molina.
I
I'm not saying I hated Molina. That I'm just saying for the time. I mean,
true.
Could you actually put Molina back in that role now, and it almost worked better with?
I don't know. I don't think so.
A younger Tom Holland. But
I don't
who
think
would
so.
you?
No.
Do you? Okay, now let me ask this genuine question: do you gender bend if you bring Doc Ock in
No.
like they did in Spider-Verse? Because that's an Ultimate Universe
I don't think
thing.
I would, no.
The only other thing I would add to my kind of spiel is you brought up time travel. Now that you have Deadpool that they said that they're going to keep the same, I imagine they're going to keep the supporting cast the same. You've got Cable.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So
that's an interesting problem.
Those are even more. You know, if you've got a book, that's even more pages that you're adding to that book that you can go any way that you want.
You know,
Cable gives you that freedom.
Does that mean Brawlin fight Brawlin?
I don't
Thanos
know.
versus Cable? I mean, it's
But
happening.
the thing is, they also want to tie this up with like a nice like little bow. They don't want to like leave a bunch of loose ends and
Look,
stuff.
you've already
and,
seen
like,
the end of Endgame, and this is something that I've read and was really looking at the footage. If the footage holds true, we have actually seen the finale of Endgame already.
I've been
on screen.
avoiding all of it, so I'm
And
trying.
the
to not
only
see
thing
it,
in the
yeah.
trailer that you see is Thanos walking in a field.
Right.
And I think that's after the fact.
You know, honestly, the idea of bringing in Cable sparks to mind doing Avengers versus X-Men, which would be great.
Honestly, I feel like with the story that they've written, it wouldn't fit. Cable won't fit. And the
Really?
because the thing is the end game's going to end with Tony Stark wielding the Infinity Gauntlet. Because if you look at it, look at every single Tony Stark film, like any film that he's ever been in, whether it be Iron Man or like Civil War or something like that, he sustained some injury or whatever, always to his left hand. Every single time. Like you can look back and see every single time that he has an injury, it's his left hand. So Marvel has been calling for his left hand this entire time.
This is some.
I'm not even
shit,
kidding.
man.
It's so meta. It's so weird to think about. But like honestly, I predict right now, and you can mark it if you feel like.
Mark it down.
But
Journey into Comics.
Tony Stark will wield
I do have
the
to
Infinity
throw it in.
Gauntlet at the end because the Infinity Gauntlet is a left-handed gauntlet.
Do you think it's going to take him then?
I don't know.
See,
Man, I feel like
what he's going to do
I
is
love it.
Has he re-upped his contract yet?
No one said what their contracts are doing. It's elusive. It seems like, Chris Evans has said my contract is out, but
Right.
that doesn't seem necessarily accurate. What could they do? They could throw him in the 40s, give him Peggy Carter in pure form,
or
stick
just
him
or
back
just
then.
give him as what I think what you and I talked about was just it was Matt and I last week. Just let Cap have retirement.
There you go.
He
Let
doesn't
him-
want to be a soldier anymore.
Right.
Yep. And he can and you know what's really cool about that? Like 10 years when he's gray, you can bring back old school Cap and he will be even.
Fuck it, shoot the moon. Let's do Secret Empire.
Oh man, no. But let me say, if we're gonna go down the secret game, and Secret Wars has already been discussed. Obviously, they have already put the end game in clear sight. They're doing Secret Invasion, and Secret Invasion started at Captain Marvel.
Right.
Introducing
And-
Skrulls.
I mean,
is
but
such
if
a
we're also
huge
doing
tip to the
this,
cap,
why don't we
absolutely.
also just do Illuminati?
And if you've paid attention to our social media, you know that this is the first episode of our pet profile series, which is just about pets, pet keeping pets as a hobby, keeping pets for fun, just because you like the attention of your furry friend or your reptilian friend or your fishy friend, whatever you like to keep around your house. This is the episode for you. And this episode is actually going to be on childhood pets. A lot of you, like myself, probably had pets growing up, and we valued the time we had with them, and it kind of changed how we keep pets now as adults. But before I really get into that, I kind of wanted to talk about what's going to come after this. As you know, this show, originally conceived and has been going on, does delve into the political. On Friday, we did get the announcement that the Mueller report, the Mueller investigation has ended. The Mueller report went to the Attorney General, Barr. So, and he gave his preliminary report his summary report to Congress, which went in the direction of no obstruction or collusion with the president based on his report, because the Mueller report gave whether it just presented the information and makes the decision in the report for him. So obviously, the people who were against the investigation to begin with are now happy. The Democrats who were hoping this would be the death nail in the Trump administration are not. Obviously, there's still some gray area because the full report hasn't been released, so no one's able to make their own opinion on it. I will be talking about that more. That'll be coming up after this, so on episode 14. Yeah, this is 11, so episode 14 will be all about the Mueller investigation, the Mueller report. Over that point, we'll have some more information because it did just happen on Friday. Then we had the weekend. Now they're in the first week. Maybe the full report would be out by then if someone releases, or WikiLeaks or something might happen to release the full report out to the public, but who's to say? Or we'll have Barr in front of, speaking in front of Congress as like a testimony, or Mueller speaking to like a Senate committee hearing or whatever. So we'll see what comes of that in the next few weeks, but that'll be when I get back to the swing of things after this whole pet series, that's what we'll be talking about. As well, we'll talk about that. Also last week we had the closing of the Disney Fox merger. So now, as of it was 12:02 a.m., it was all official. There've already been some layoffs and there's some stuff happening. Everyone's happy because the Disney or the Marvel properties that were under Fox are now back under Disney and in the hands of Kevin Feige, when he chose to do with them, when he chose to do with them. I've already kind of expressed my feelings on it, how, yes, it's good for the fans. It's not great for the people who work for Fox and Disney, who's now, there's a doubling up of positions, and someone from the lowly level person because they're not going to keep 2 full studios running. There's going to be a consolidation of roles, and a lot of people are going to get let go or receive a severance package, which from what I read was, I think, 1 or 2 weeks per year with the company. So been with the company 10 years, you get half a year of severance pay. So in a job, in a field that you're in, there's now 1 less studio hiring, so it's not an ideal situation. So yes, the X-Men can come play with the Avengers, but is the job loss worth it? I've made my thoughts about that known. I personally don't think so. As a fan of Marvel, as a fan of the superhero shows and movies, I'm excited for what's to come, but at the same time, to me, it does feel like worth it, and we don't know what's going to happen now that Disney has these rights, because we're not going to get a bunch of stuff right away. 100%, I would be shocked, and I would have nothing to say, but I don't think there'll be even a tease in Endgame about what the future of Marvel, of the X-Men or Fantastic Four, there's going to be no tease of that. Because they would have to, unless they come out after the fact, if they do something, they would have to say they started it later. They cannot mess with other companies' properties before that, because that's a big breach of IP, and that could be an offense, and someone could challenge that, and that could be very bad for Disney. And I don't think they're going to play that game. That's the same reason they didn't do stuff with James Gunn, if that was their plan all along, because you don't want to mess with IP that isn't yours, and you don't want to mess with a deal that's in the process. So we're not going to get X-Men next year, because we still have an X-Men movie coming out soon. The Dark Phoenix movie is still coming out. It's still slated. It's not going to just disappear because of this deal. New Mutants, that's a whole other story. But I think people who think this change and these new characters are going to be integrated overnight are fooling themselves. So, but that's my little soapbox I want to get on before I started this show. So now let's kind of go to a happier note, and like I said, I wanted to talk about pets, specifically childhood pets. This is going to be a 3-part series. Today's episode is going to be about kind of the pets you had growing up and pets you were exposed to as a child. And then next week, Tyler McLaughlin from Podcastrophe and I'll be talking about fish keeping, because we're both in the hobby now. We both have tanks, and we'll talk about that and all of our experiences. Tyler touched on it briefly with one of his tanks on Podcastrophe last week, which I encourage you to check out. Podcastrophe now is their own Patreon, which I encourage you to give a little. If you're already given to the Journey into Comics Network, maybe throw $1 or $2 to Podcastrophe. Those guys are making great content, and those guys are great, and I really want to see what the little extra funds they can take that to in the future. And speaking of funds, thanks to everyone who came out to Fun For Funds over the weekend. It was a successful event, and I think there'll be some of those coming in the future. If you want to see the network guys again, if you're living in the Midwest, LaFiCon is just around the corner. It's in central Indiana, so definitely come check that out. You can check it out at, I think, LaFiCon.com. For you to search LaFiCon, LaFFYCon, LaFiCon, check that out. It's April 27th to 28th. I'll be there, my wife will be there, and a lot of the Journey to Comics Network people will be there, so definitely come check it out if you like what you've been hearing from us. And there's a bunch of other con-related things if you like comic conventions and music and all of that, so definitely come out to that. Oh, and then, sorry, I kind of tangent off. So then the third episode will be my wife Liz and I talking about the love of pets, because Liz and I both love pets. We have, in our home, we have a lot of different types of pets. Like I said, we have our dog Max, we have our 2 cats, I have my fish in the basement, and we just got a bird, so the zoo is filling, and we love it, and we volunteer. So if you've listened to our Adulting and Easy show, which will be coming back sometime next month, probably right around LaFiCon, if I'm not totally mistaken. But once we have a date, we'll announce it on our socials, and then get working on that. But yeah, definitely stay tuned the next 2 episodes of more pet stuff. But childhood pets, I feel like we've all had them. In my experience growing up, most of my friends had at least one pet or another. I think some of my best friends growing up, I think one of them had 2 basset hounds. Also, I think like a hamster or 2. Another friend just had cats. They were inside-outside cats. I grew up with a lot of pets. So, cats were always in the house when I was growing up. We always had the inside-outside cats. They were outside, they were inside. We really had no track on them. They didn't have tags. They weren't chipped. So, actually, one of our cats had babies. That's a whole other thing. When you have a cat that's not fixed and it gets out and meets another stray cat, they'll make babies. So then you have a litter of cats to deal with, and you give them away to people, and you keep a couple for yourself, and that's how you did. And I had a little ginger cat growing up that was my little buddy. But yeah, I think pets are always something that I feel like gives kids growing up a sense of nurture, something they can take care of. Like, kids will have toys and they'll have dolls and they'll have figurines and stuff they can play with, but taking care of a living, breathing thing, I think, helps a kid be responsible for something. Like, the first pet that was actually mine was a gerbil. I don't know if my brother had a gerbil this one. I didn't. We shared a room at the time. I remember having a little, I think it was like a fish tank that, you put the little wood chip bedding and the wheel and the stuff, and you just put the gerbil in there and you feed them, and they're pretty content, and they go out their business, and you clean it and take care of it. And yeah, I was in grade school. I was probably 6 or 7, if I'm not too mistaken. And yeah, that was my first pet. And you always remember that pet because they always comes up on like security questions. When you have to prove that you're not a robot. Like, if you're a fan of the John Mulaney sketch, it's like you have to prove to a robot that you are not a robot. So it's like, or if you're making a security question, it's what was your first pet's name? Like, and that's when you always put the name down, and that's one of your security questions, because you'll always remember your first pet. And if you didn't have a first pet, I guess if you had allergies or just traveled a lot or just didn't have the exposure, then yeah, some people just didn't have pets. Some people just aren't pet people. They're just, parents never had them, so you never had them growing up. Like Liz, I think growing up only had, her dad had a fish tank, and that was the extent of pets they had, I think. And that sometimes happens to the case. Like, if your parents have allergies or just never pet people, then you kind of aren't a pet person until later in life if you choose to, or sometimes you kind of avoid it altogether. But like I said, so a gerbil was my first pet, and that pet met an unfortunate end, but you kind of move on to the next one, and I think I went from like gerbils to hamsters, and had cats, like I said, and the cats never bothered the gerbils, and you just gerbils and hamsters. Like, the rodents, I think, are a common first pet for kids. You get the little cage, you get it from the pet, so they put in a little cardboard carton that you can take it home in, and then you get all the stuff for it, and it's a fun little experience for kids, and look forward to doing that one day for my own kids, just getting them their first pet. But some people don't think the rodents, they think they're messy and dirty and smelly, and the stuff smells awful because obviously they go to the bathroom on these wood chippings, and it just soaks it up and just will reek to heaven after a while. But when you're a kid, you don't care about the smell of stuff. You're 7, you don't really care. But I think also in my house growing up, so this might be jumping forward, so I said I had hamsters, or in gerbils, had the rodent stuff. My brother kind of went the reptile route. He had like a gecko, or a lizard. He had a lizard or a gecko, and then he had like 2 different iguanas. And he had a white mouse, which I think was just like a feeder mouse that he for some reason kept as a pet. I don't know. I went the furry route. My brother went the reptile route. I don't know if that says anything about us as people, but it is what it is. But I'm trying to think, kind of evolving. So at some point at that, we had a dog, big black lab, that we got as not quite as a stray, kind of as an abandonment, because my dad had rental property and the dog was kind of left behind. The dog had its own problems. It was a great dog. It was well behaved, but it was, if it could get out the front door, it would go out the front door, and it would chase after and kill squirrels. It would run really far away. I remember my brother and I have to chase on our bikes to go get it, and it was just kind of a hell of a thing trying to get it back, and we didn't have to get rid of that at a point because it attacked a dachshund thinking it was a squirrel, because anything small it would kind of go after. Not pretty. That's not really a fun story, but So I think, let's see, I'm trying to kind of go through in my head. Pets had around that time. So, let's see. I think after the dog, we didn't really have a dog again until I got a dog in high schools. But after that, I kept on the hamster. I went like the dwarf hamster route. Remember having a cage in my own room, and there was this big red wire cage. You see, it kind of looks like a bird cage. It has like a plastic base with a tray you slide out, and you had the wheel in there. And I actually remembered my first time actually learned using something, not quite engineering, but know how to quiet gears and to soften noise. And I took, because you have a metal ring on a little metal frame, and that's how it spins on this little notched out area that the hamster wheel track rides on. And obviously it's just metal on metal. Eventually it's just going to squeak because it's running on there at high speeds because it's a hamster. And I remember at night the thing would be solvable. So I took it off, and I took a lead pencil and just ran the pencil along the track on the frame for the hamster wheel, and then on the wheel itself where they contacted, just to provide that little bit of lubrication. And maybe that's why I'm an engineer. I don't know. But I remember that's one thing I did right away, and it quieted the noise on it. It gave it some kind of lubrication so it stopped it from doing it. Because obviously water doesn't work. It's just going to, as soon as it dries, it's going to keep it up again.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
So anyways, let's talk about WrestleMania. Right now, there are 14 matches announced for WrestleMania. It's getting a bit on. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It just it seems like they're going to really make this an extravaganza and put as many matches in a card as possible. So let's run down the card from the low spot to the high spot. As of right now, here we go. First matchup they got talking about is the Boston Hug Connection. That's Bayley and Sasha Banks defending their women's championships up against the Divas of Doom, Beth Phoenix and Natalya, versus the Iconics, Bayley Kay and Peyton Royce, versus the Samoa Slaughterhouses. Slaughterhouse, not Slaughterhouses. Slaughterhouse, Samoan Slaughterhouse. Weird alliteration there. Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Of course, this features a Legends team, essentially, with Natalya and Beth Phoenix. A SmackDown new team with fucking the Iconics. Your tag champs in Bayley and Sasha Banks. And then the Samoa Slaughterhouse, which is essentially your Raw team. So you kind of get a little bit of everything there. And I fucking love it. Now, if I were to predict kind of like what this match is going to do, how this match is going to go down, I don't know if it'll be the first match on the main show. It will be definitely on the main show. They're not going to do this as a kickoff match. I wouldn't think like that. There's probably 3 other matches I see as kickoff matches, possibly. Andre the Giant Battle Memorial kickoff, possibly. Buddy Murphy's match, possibly. And one more we'll talk about here in a minute, because that's going to change too. And that's going to change too also. Got to remember that. So anyways, what's going to happen in this Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Tag Team Championship match? You do a lot of things here. Bayley and Sasha could have a turn moment where maybe Sasha turns on Bayley or Bayley turns on Sasha. That seems like a trope that's kind of predictable, though. They've done that a couple times now. They've kind of really sold that these two are really in tandem and in close. They've had no screw-ups or, miscommunications as of late. They're working as a pretty well-oiled machine as the Boston Hug Connection. I do like the idea of putting the Divas of Doom over in this match. I want to explain that as, listen, Beth Phoenix is coming out of retirement. She's a Hall of Famer. She's one of my favorite in-ring female performers. I mean, I've seen her perform several different times. We saw her in Champaign, Illinois twice, and Danville once, a couple different places, and I just feel like it would be a really cool thing, just for her and for the company, really, too, because then she's one of the legends who have helped make this thing really what it's going to be now, because Beth Phoenix having the women's tag team titles gives the tag team titles Beth Phoenix's rub, and now you can say that a Hall of Famer has held those titles, and that, she came out of retirement, told those titles, look how prestigious they are. Then if Beth and Natalya go on a little bit of a run for a while, that's great. And then you can probably put over the Samoa Slaughterhouse.
That gives Nia Jax and Tamina a chance to hold the belts for a minute. Then you could technically, I mean, if you want to kind of go like way, way down the road, eventually I think the Iconics do deserve a shot. But I do think that if this is elimination style, which I'm not sure if it is, but anyways, I just think that ultimately it's either the Boston Hug Connection going to retain, or in a shock surprise, the Divas of Doom will end up pinning the Samoa Slaughterhouses to end up winning. The Samoa Slaughterhouse, that's hard to say, to end up winning the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. A match that was announced this week on Monday Night Raw was Roman Reigns' first official pay-per-view match back as a solo competitor versus the visceral, evil, brutal, whatever the fuck you want to call him, Drew McIntyre. And man, they went back and forth, and like Roman seemed to like maybe break character a little bit there. I don't know if you'd really call it that. It was just he seemed to actually show a little bit of his anger in this promo he cut on Monday Night Raw. Like, if you bring up my wife and kids again, I'm gonna, and then attacked him and whatnot. Some of those punches seemed like they were landing. Again, we talked about this on last episode, guys. We are definitely in the reality era where stuff bleeds through. There's some things that are just, you cannot quite tell when, and I love it because there was a long time there where when you were watching the WWE product, you could definitely see when somebody, I don't know how to say it, you could tell when somebody was just reading the lines that were given to them and they were just phoning it in. That's the words I wanted to use. They're just phoning it in. And, the phoning it in mentality is fine when you don't have anybody to worry about. But when everybody else is really good at what they're doing in the professional wrestling world and all these other companies are kicking ass, you got to at some point go, fuck me. Like, we got to do this. Let's go. And jump on the bandwagon of, like, let's do something to bring change. Ronda has brought about change. There's been some other changes. The reality era being sparked now. Now, Bobby Lashley, the Intercontinental Champ, he's going to be defending that belt up against Finn Balor, which is an awesome matchup. We'll see how that ultimately goes. I'm uncertain. Now, see, here's the thing. The next match that's technically on the card is already not on the card, and I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know what the game plan is. I'm not sure how they're going to do this. I'm going to kind of talk about this in tandem because, you know what? We'll save it. We'll put it up there later. Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. Samoa Joe being your United States champion, taking on Rey Mysterio. I think it is slightly possible for Rey Mysterio to win this match. However, I think it does more for Samoa Joe to win this match and actually get the rub over Rey Mysterio at the biggest stage of them all. Just my thought. Up next, according to this card, the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial, which now features Michael Che and Colin Jost from Saturday Night Live. I love those dudes. I think they're fucking hysterical. They have no business being in wrestling. I get that this is some sort of cross-pollination thing, and like Braun Strowman said, I'll see you at Saturday night. Like, he's going to go there live, which coincidentally enough, Saturday Night Live is the night before WrestleMania, and it's an episode they are having, so expect him to show up during Weekend Update, Braun Strowman, and again do an angle, as it were. Up next would be AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. This is just a straight-up match, man. They're just having a match. I think this is one of those situations where, look, it's WrestleMania. You want to put a hell of a match together. Who you want to work with. These two inevitably have a history where they should have always been against each other. They rose up at the same time. In 2004, they were both champs of their respective companies. I mean, that's not a fucking joke, man. So I just think it's crazy that we're finally seeing this on the biggest stage of them all. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. I hope that this doesn't shit the bed like Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, but I won't get into that. Up next, we've got Shane McMahon versus The Miz. This is a grudge match. Now, this is one of those things, they planted this seed way, way, way back. They said, Shane McMahon's going to be heel. No, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not. Yes, he is. All the way back at that Crown Jewel failure event, making him the best in the world or whatever. Now he's the heel. I am the best in the world. and protecting himself with all this security. And Miz did a hell of a job, like, fighting fucking everyone this week on SmackDown, trying to get to Shane McMahon, but it didn't quite work. I feel like this match could very well steal the show. Keep your eyes peeled for this one. That's my early prediction, that this is one of 3 possible matches to steal the show for this evening. And then up next is a match that will not be stealing the show unless by some chance this next Monday night on Raw, which will be the go-home show. Hey guys, it's a train of our existence. Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, this match, let me say, dumb, terrible decision. It's Kurt Angle's go-home match, and you're putting somebody who stylistically doesn't work with Angle very well, and somebody who, drink break. This drink break is brought to you by Podcastrophe. You can check out Podcastrophe here every Thursday on the Journey into Comics Network. Just search JourneyIntoComicsNetwork.com or search Journey into Comics Network at iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, Spotify, and many others. Or go to JourneyIntoComics.com. That's what I meant to say, guys. Sometimes you fuck up. It's real. It happens on the podcast. It really does happen. You got to keep going. This is still the drink break brought to you by Nate. I'm going to do it now. Okay, better. So now we're back. I don't really like the Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle match. I feel like Kurt Angle could have been against AJ Styles for his final match, Samoa Joe for his final match, Finn Balor for his final match. Bring back Shawn Michaels for his final match, John Cena for his final match. I mean, maybe they're doing this as a tease to keep it not obvious that it's going to be John Cena and making it Baron Corbin, so that way when Baron Corbin inevitably doesn't make the match and John Cena gets put in last minute, everybody super pops, because then it's Kurt Angle versus the guy who he broke into the main roster against Kurt Angle. Like, John Cena's first match was against Kurt Angle. How poetic if it was Kurt Angle versus John Cena. I've already said that a couple times on this show. Like, it needs to happen. So maybe this is the pull. Maybe this is the way they're going to do it. Up next is a real intense match. Triple H versus Batista. And let me say, if Triple H loses this no-holds-barred match, he will retire as a pro wrestler. This is going to be old-school Triple H Batista fight. Lots of blood, lots of anger, lots of hard spots, lots of power bumps. Predict at least one moment for somebody to get hurt because of a fucking mishap. Most likely guessing it's going to be Triple H when Batista drops him for the Batista bomb. Another matchup on the card is Buddy Murphy as the Cruiserweight champ up against Tony Nese, who won the bracket to get his way all the way to the match here at WrestleMania. I predict that'll probably be a pre-show match, but maybe I'll be wrong. Now, before we get into the next match, let's talk about the match that isn't happening. Asuka is not a champ anymore, guys. Holy shit, spoiler. What do I mean Asuka's not a champ? I mean that, guys, on Tuesday night SmackDown Live, Charlotte Flair pinned Asuka in a title match for the WWE Women's Championship in a shock move. And now Charlotte's the Women's Champ for SmackDown. So that leads this question. What are they going to do about this main event that just got announced? I don't know if you guys know this or not, but it was officially announced this past week that the women will be headlining WrestleMania as Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair is going to be the main event for WrestleMania. However, now with Charlotte Flair winning the SmackDown Women's title, what is the play? Will that belt also go up to unify the belt to have one belt, making it to where women can be on both rosters? That way they can make their pool bigger, make the women's division more interesting by being able to integrate and constantly rotate all the different ladies on both shows. Will they, I don't know, decide that because Charlotte has won the belt now, she doesn't need to be in the Ronda Rousey-Becky Lynch match. She has her own gold, her own initiative, her own reasons. Maybe we can have Charlotte Flair versus Asuka for a title where now Asuka can beat Charlotte and right the wrong of her not winning the championship against Charlotte a couple years ago. I'm not sure what the actual gameplay is here, but if they do that, then you have Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch in a one-on-one. Pure, it's the Survivor Series match that never happened. wrapped into a nice little bubble for the Raw Women's Championship. Obviously, you look at Becky to go over in that match. Brock Lesnar, he's Universal Champ up against Seth Rollins. Not a surprise here. Seth Rollins is going to win. Let me go through my whole rundown because I started with a prediction and then I stopped doing that. Damn yawns are getting me, folks. See, here's the problem with having too many things to do in life. Sometimes you have to squeeze the podcast in extra late and burn the midnight oil. And burning the midnight oil includes yawns. So you guys get to have the extra Yawny edition of Nate. The extra Yawny edition might be the episode title. Extra Yawny edition. I'm just going to try to remember that. Anyways, so back to it, folks. Let's look at the predictions I have here. I think Roman Reigns beats Drew McIntyre. Makes sense. He's back from his leukemia. Put him over at WrestleMania. It's a big win moment. Finn Balor going to walk out with the Intercontinental Championship again, anointing him at WrestleMania, making it a huge moment for him and making sure he stays the fuck put and does not go to All Elite Wrestling like they're afraid he is going to. I did mention the Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio match. This could go one of two ways. Maybe Joe wins as a way to solidify him as top dog and get the rub from Rey, or Rey wins and wins the U.S. Championship in a shock. Andre the Giant Battle Memorial. I do not know who's going to win this match because I do not care who wins this match. This is a gimmicky match that I'm not really super fond of. I think that it, maybe the first couple years it was okay, but you're killing me, Smalls. Up next, in the prediction pool is AJ versus Randy Orton. I really would like to see AJ win. However, it's for total shock factor if AJ goes for that phenomenal forearm and Orton pops up for a crazy, insane RKO out of nowhere.
We're gonna fuck the sodomites in the...
My stance on a lot of things is I don't fucking care what other people do. If you are not directly harming me or children, I don't give a fuck what you do.
Nature? Not even nature? The planet we live on?
Yeah, I can't control that.
We participate.
Yeah, but okay.
I'm not saying
new debate.
Recycle
the Earth is damaging itself at the same rate we are damaging it.
So why
it is compounded? Because there's no other way. Every time if you said, "Hey, I just won the lottery, I'm going to build a house," you are damaging the fucking Earth right there.
Oh yeah.
Are you not going to live in a house?
I mean, no, but okay. I get what you're saying.
Everything that we do is detrimental to the Earth. There is nothing that we do that's beneficial. You want power from hydroelectricity? You are fucking up entire ecosystems. Brazil is doing it right now in the Amazon. In the 90s and early 2000s, we gave a shit about deforestation. Now, all people want is, Brazil's a developing nation still. They should probably have some electricity. Let's build a giant fucking dam and ruin every ecosystem upstream. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody in America cares.
Should they, though?
Yes! But we don't as a species. We do not care because our life is finite. If you were going to live for the next 3,000 years, you would give a shit.
That's true.
You are going to live 100 years from today at maximum. It's finite. Why does it matter?
That's a very nihilistic approach.
It is, and that's I'm not saying that's my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, I get it.
So
I'm just saying,
I give a shit because I want my children to be, and I want your children and your children's children to have a beautiful place to live.
Exactly.
But I can't fix it.
Not. I mean, you're not Superman. Nobody's Superman. I get that.
Matt's Superman, but
let's be real. I am Superman.
Yeah.
We have a couple comments.
Lay it on us.
Pod Daddy comes in, says Podfather dropping by to bless this glorious pod with my awesome dudes.
We love you.
He also says tell Tyler to check his phone at some point. Alex Taylor, if I kill myself, will that be beneficial to the ecosystem? Hypothetically speaking. I really hope it's hypothetically speaking, because I will feel really bad.
So don't
do that.
I have brought that up on this show before, and in a lot of conversations I've had with people, the best thing that could happen to this planet today is the complete and total extinction of our species.
We are a virus.
Just our species. If you removed human beings from the world's biosphere in 24 hours, the planet would go back to being pretty cool, pretty quick.
Believe that.
Like I said, we're a virus.
Mm-hmm. We are a plague on this earth, which is part of the reason why we need to focus on getting off it.
Nah, dude, we came from Mars, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean,
we came from Mars. We fucked up that planet.
But in Mars,
then we were like, hey, let's go in. And now we're fucking up this one.
Did we fuck Mercury up first and Venus?
Maybe we were going out.
We're just getting Mars. We were like, no, go back. Go back.
It's too cold here. Fuck it.
We just started going towards the sun.
That or
So
we
we're
just
gonna
freaked
move
out.
the next step up.
Because when we got to Mars, we realized that the entire northern part of the planet's a fucking volcano. And we're like, that thing's gonna blow.
Oh, but yeah, I don't like to take that fucking doomsday nihilistic approach, but I can only do so much, and a lot of the
Tyler's like, I can only kill so many people.
I can only do what a man can do. Old Dad is limited.
Old Dad is limited.
If you reach Mars, you've gone too far.
If you think about it though, and you really get to digging, a lot of the
You'll find more bodies.
renewable energy stuff, and if Clint's still watching, he can chime in here and really fucking lay down some wisdom on this because he works in that industry. We have the ability to combine carbon dioxide with hydrogen, I believe, liquefy it, and use it as fuel. It's totally viable. It renders the hydrogen where it's not Hindenburg, but it's not profitable. It's expensive.
Exactly.
Just like desalination. So desalination. So the west coast of the United States, and then places close to the equator. You look at pretty much the entire continent of Africa, Australia, India. Lower Asia, places like that. They struggle with having enough clean water for people. Desalinate. Do you know what desalination is?
I do not.
Okay. You take ocean water,
unsalt it,
and you evaporate it through whatever measure you need. You need that fucking ocean water to hit 212 degrees.
Right.
It's a little bit higher because of the salt, but you just fucking evaporate the water.
And then it'll condense.
The salt leaves, and then you condense the water. If you evaporate H2O,
right,
it removes all. So if this is a can of water, and it's got iron, magnesium, lead, arsenic, mercury,
whatever,
all kinds of bad shit in here. If I evaporate this, it all stays in this can.
Exactly, yeah.
The water leaves the can. And then you've got clean drinking water.
Exactly, yeah.
It's expensive to do. Why don't we don't have enough water for people to survive, but we don't want to spend a little bit of money.
We do.
We don't want to spend a little bit of money.
Have you heard about this wonderful company named Nestle that makes bottled water for Flint, Michigan? Because their fucking business is booming. That's all that I'm saying.
Fukushima's still leaking fucking radioactive material into the ocean, but that's not a big deal.
All that I'm saying is I talked to a undergrad from Purdue one time who was from South Korea, and he told me that Eastern theology and Western theology are completely different.
They're mirror images of each other.
Western theology, he told me, he's like, from being here, Western theology is everything has a price tag. And think about it, from the day that you're born, your parents go to the hospital, they get a medical bill because a doctor had to deliver their baby, to the day you die, and your family has to get a casket for you and put you in the ground.
Not me. I'm going out Viking style.
What does this have to do with theology?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Were you trying to say ideology?
Ideology, yeah.
Okay.
I was like, theology.
Cool.
Theology is the study
I was
of
hoping
religion.
We got you.
I was about to just kind of end that with, dude.
Like, but no, it's totally true. To kind of piggyback again, I'm going politician with you. The world's future is nuclear. We figured out how to make nuclear reactors not fucking melt down, and Chernobyl. But those industries can't challenge the oil industry and our nation's government specifically, because they play the game of, well, here's all these other renewable energies like wind and solar that we own. They're expensive, so buy it, but you still got to have the fucking fossil fuel stuff. So we're making money twice. And there's such a negative stigma with nuclear. It's limitless fucking energy. Limitless. And now there's no hazard. Why aren't we using it? Why aren't we using it to fucking power spacecraft? Why aren't we using it to fucking power my microwave?
I don't know if it'd be very good for my car.
Well, if your car was electric, it would be.
I would be driving around with a radioactive car, and I would wake up one day with 3 dicks. Like,
God, that'd be awesome.
That would be terrible.
No, think about it. Yes, that's what I was going with. You jack one off, you go to the next one, you jack it off. You jack 2 off at the same time.
Which brings up the question: do they simultaneously all get hard? If they all do you like fucking just feel a head rush because you just have a sudden blood
that'd
loss?
Be awesome. You just get like high from your dick getting hard.
you just like
But no, I mean, there are. The Earth is warming. That's a fact. We're gonna get hit with a fucking ice age here soon, and it's gonna wipe most of our species off the map. It's gonna flood. Something's gonna happen, and then this shit's gonna start all over again. And then life's gonna go back to normal. The Earth's gonna be peachy, and eventually we're gonna fucking bleed it dry like Mars. That's the direction that it's going. We could very easily prolong that, but we don't want to spend the money. That's the sad truth.
I think we get absorbed by the sun before that happens.
Which one?
The
spending the money part?
No, the
because that's totally viable.
The whole like planet kind of resets itself. I think we get eaten by a supernova.
I feel like our sun's itself in different ways, though.
Let me science this a little
Blaine's
bit.
gonna try and science, folks.
Our sun is not big enough to supernova. First off, it
Right.
will expand, but it'll eventually contract into a white dwarf.
Yeah, but in that expansion, it absorbs the first 3 planets.
Yeah, but that's not a supernova.
In our solar system.
I'm just correcting you on your vernacular. But
my bad.
Blaine said fucking vernacular.
Holy shit! Have you been reading a dictionary?
I know shit about space.
Stop,
Damn, Blaine.
The sun isn't. It's not supposed to expand for like another 1 billion to 2 billion years. We're good.
I'm not saying we're gonna be.
We're gonna be gone within the next million. So just saying.
I think it happens before. I don't think.
it
us as a
before.
species.
No, I think
will
absolutely
happen.
us as a species because
I don't think we're gonna last another 100,000
No,
years.
we're gonna get destroyed by fucking Yellowstone, man.
No,
well, there's
dude.
that. I mean, there's so many.
We're gonna sterilize ourselves. That's what's going to happen.
They
already tried that.
There's so many.
They're gonna no, seriously, because we have social media.
There's
why
so many
why
possibilities.
hang out with someone? You can just text me. Why hang out?
We are becoming the panda.
Why do
we have Tinder, man? That's
straight
not
up?
Stop.
I mean, like, okay, but straight up, we also,
Grindr.
Japan is building very
Bumble.
realistic-looking love robots that might one day just take over. Not saying that everyone and their mother is going to get it, but like
maybe their mother
eventually the social norm is going to be.
I'll tell you right now. If I could have a walking, talking fuck robot.
You absolutely would.
That's what I'm gonna call it. Not sex robot, a fuck robot, because that's what we're doing. We fuck it.
Fuck bot.
Fuck bot. Stop it.
Fuckbot saw, dude.
The saw did 9 billion. I'm fucking that robot, and I'm not ashamed of it, even the slightest.
I'm ashamed of you.
You're telling me right now you wouldn't fuck a robot if it looked like Selma Hayek from Dusk Till Dawn?
Listen, we didn't say Selma Hayek.
Well, I did, because that's what my model would be.
I want the Selma Hayek 5,000.
I'm going to get the 6,000.
Damn, I want the 6,001. No, I personally think what's going to happen is we're going to go extinct by a super volcano.
Well, you've got that. You've got fucking plagues. What happens when fucking Ebola, replicates and changes enough times to where we can't keep up with it?
I'm sorry, I believe Big Pharma has everything.
Yeah, but they don't.
I'm a conspiracy theorist with that, though. But anyway, I think we're going extinct from super volcanoes. I think Yellowstone's erupting. That's why I'll never go there. However, if I find out it's going to erupt, like they're like, hey, dude, this is going to happen in a month, I'm just going to go sit in the middle of it because I just want to die immediately.
I remember you saying that
Yeah.
early on when you were a guest on the show.
So, and then that's when the Earth's getting absorbed by the sun like a few billion years later.
Pod Daddy's got an original recipe Butterfinger, and I fucking feel like I'm in his living room right now. Because Butterfinger's life.
I like
want
paydays.
Living room right now because I want that Butterfinger.
I like Snicker.
That or maybe a roaming black hole will get into our galaxy and absorb us.
There's a finger on my Butterfinger. A saw, dude.
I don't even know that number. But, yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll have a neutron star explosion happen in the Milky Way galaxy. That's going to kill us.
Did you say the other day that astronomers discovered another moon in our solar system?
I don't recall saying that. That'd be cool.
You understood.
What's up?
We discovered another moon in our solar system.
Another moon.
Hmm?
Moon.
What does the moon belong to?
I don't know. I didn't read the article. I just saw the headline.
Ooh,
What did you
that's
look at?
like the most untrustworthy.
That's
it
like-
literally could have.
No,
you could have
no.
clicked on it, and the article just could have been like,
Hey.
"Dicks, dicks, dicks."
It was
That is the
dude.
most internet thing he could have ever said.
It was,
Exactly. Thank you, Blaine.
the article was from NASA.
Okay, well, if it's from NASA, then it's completely legit.
I'm waiting for my apology, sir. Here, click this link to send me my apology.
Be
Just
sure
do
to
it.
like, comment,
Just do it. No,
subscribe.
no. Click this link to
I'm
send
not
me.
gonna.
Just come on, man. Work with me. Dicks, 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 dicks.
I knew
Stop
that was
it.
gonna happen. I knew that was gonna fucking.
You're listening to the Voice of Survival Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nate Phillips.
They were a little bit unorganized sometimes, not all the time, but it was a fly by the seat of your pants type of thing sometimes.
The day that Ellis got a hold of it, they played it. Whatever.
Yeah, but it was as far as within the show, because they have like 4 hours of show that they're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would fly by the seat of their pants when they were going to do things
Correct.
in
And
context.
I
So I was just waiting and waiting, you know.
5 our time. It was later
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah, again, still at my parents' house. I remember getting the phone call for that, talking about that one. That was in the basement that time, but that was pretty cool to have them call me and be interested in that. You know, on a personal level, that was something that I wasn't trying to do for attention or for any other reason other than I wanted to do it, and I felt inspired to do it. And I guess, like, what other reason is there? What's the point of making stuff if you're just doing it for attention? I guess you'll get attention. Congratulations. Like, you'll feel a void at the end of it unless it's something that really meant something to you. So that's what it is. Yeah, that was a pretty cool time. Yeah, we can talk. I don't know what else to talk about with Machine Head.
Well, you got to talk. I mean, fast forward a little bit to.
We did get to meet them. That was cool.
Yeah, and that was, a little bit more my story than yours.
Yeah, you cut your teeth there a little bit.
They were coming through Chicago, and I just in my head said, like, look, they sent out tweets about it. Their Facebook shared it. Like, the Machine Head Facebook shared it. At the time, the Machine Head's Facebook was like nearing 1 million fans or some shit. It was crazy. But they shared it, and then I was like, man, they're going to be in Chicago. I think that we need to meet these guys. Like, I think that would be a cool thing. You know, maybe you guys can talk, whatever. So I just was like, fuck it, I'm going to do this thing. And I just called their manager straight up.
Tour manager. Or not the tour manager. The band manager, the general manager.
And I called him, and I said, hey, Sarah is in Chicago. You guys are coming through Chicago. Let's meet. Let's make this happen. Like, that's what we should do. And dude got a hold of me right away.
Yeah.
And was like, Machine Head knows who Sarah is. They're very aware. They would love to meet her. I'm going to give you the number of our tour manager. Call him. He'll set it up. Called him. Dude sets it up. We watch Machine Head play. And then we wait backstage. And we got to meet them. And what was that experience like for you? Because now your work, in so many words, has paid off.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say that there is always a moment in time where somebody does an interesting rendition or cover of a song that they get to meet the person who fucking wrote the song. Not always. Sometimes the artist might tweet it out and say that's cool or whatever, but those paths never cross. So what was it like for you? I mean, I know what it was like for me. It was really surreal being in that moment because I was like both excited at meeting Machine Head and also excited watching you meet Machine Head because like you had this really cool journey with them and I was just like, what the fuck? So what was that like for you to have that kind of be where that part of the story at least ends?
Yeah, it's so that was crazy. I still feel a little bit humbled by that even happened. Was it Mayhem Fest?
Correct.
I couldn't remember Rockstar, Mayhem. All those festivals are kind of the same. So this one, I guess, was Mayhem. And this would have been 2013 now. We're up to 2013 because it was February 2013 when I uploaded the Machine Head video. So this was like a summer concert. It was like July, I think.
2013.
Sometime in July 2013. And they set up a meeting and gave us the tour manager's phone number. The general manager gave it to Nate and said, hey, when you're there, this is who you need to contact. He'll instruct you on how to go about this thing, because this wasn't like a regular meet and greet or anything like that. This was just they wanted to plan it out so they could actually sit and talk to me, is what it sounded like at the time. Like, we didn't know what we were getting into, honestly. Like, we went there and we were just hoping that it was actually going to happen, that somebody wasn't just like playing us or just like, oh yeah, haha, you think that's you're going to get in there, whatever. And you don't know people that are, sometimes they say never meet your heroes. Sometimes they say that. I'll say ahead of time, this was not one of those cases. I mean, I don't know. I don't like to use the word hero very often in context of people that I look up to, because it's just people are people, artists are artists and whatnot. But anyways, it was a little bit nerve-wracking. We had a really interesting thing happen before that. One of my students at the time, I was working at a studio that was, we won't talk about that, but at the time I was not supposed to be seeing students outside of this building, which I think is a little bit, it doesn't matter.
They have crooked practices.
It doesn't matter what I think about that.
Let's move forward, yeah.
But that's besides the point. One of my students' dads and him, Young Neil as we affectionately call him, you can see pictures of this stuff online. All of this stuff, we took pictures and all that kind of thing when it happened. But his dad was taking him to that festival. He told me that day, he's like, "Oh, you're gonna go there? We totally have to meet up. I'm gonna be there." Like he told me that sometime that day, because people communicate online because this is the 21st century after all. So
correct.
I mean, come on. But anyways, so his dad hunted me down, and we were all together. My young Neil was 13 at the time, I think. Wasn't he young?
Yeah, he was 13 at the time.
Yeah, because this was 4 years ago. Okay, so he was 13. So here's me and my 13-year-old student and his dad and Nate. And this was the crew that Nate's like, "Hey, is it cool if we bring a student along too to meet Machine Head?" And after Nate finally got a hold of the tour manager, I think you called them. You guys had to play phone tag for a minute, if I remember correctly.
It was a little stressful, mainly because I was contacting them while he was working with them right after they had played a show.
Right.
And think about how you feel after you play a show, Sarah.
Yeah.
These guys literally played a show, went and had some food, maybe smoked some weed. I don't know what they did. They did whatever they wanted to do. Then they got done with that, and then they went backstage, and then they got themselves together, and then they met you.
Yeah, that's how it ended up, because Nate played phone tag for a minute with the tour manager, and the guy said it was cool to have my student and his dad back there and whatever. And they did. He said, well, they'd prefer to, we're going to wait until, we didn't know if it was going to be before or after their set. Their set was, I think it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. The Machine Head set. It wasn't dark yet when we met them. It was still daylight outside. And, we saw their set, and then it was about an hour after that, because he said, the guys are going to get something to eat, and then we'll have you back. And they waited to have this meeting with me. I thought that was so nice that they waited and really made it a thing, you guys. Like this was like a group of guys that was really interested in what I had to say. That's what I need to say about the members of Machine Head. And this was when Jared was still, this was his first tour with their bass player Jared. He had just gotten off of his old, what was his old band? Sanctity, right? Yeah, Sanctity. He had that was his old band, and he had just been adopted. I remember when they were doing the audition videos for their new bass player after he left, and Jared got it, and that was his first tour with them. And I remember we were both just so excited together when I met Jared, because he's like, oh, it's so awesome that I'm playing with Machine Head. I'm like, oh, it's so awesome that I'm like talking to y'all, and you all are Machine Head, and you're playing, and blah, 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 blah. And I just remember it was a very exciting conversation. I talked to Jared for a long time after that, but they spent about an hour with us talking to us and chatting. I mean, they didn't go, I need you to think about this, okay? Like, you heard me tell this story, right? This is like the second thing of any legitimacy that I had ever done in my life. I felt fresh out of college still, even though I was several years out. I graduated in 2006 from college, so I was a few years out, quite a few from college, and I still felt like it was a little bit fresh out of there. But here's how I need you to think about that through those eyes, because here's me, 5'4.5" roughly, standing there with all 4 members of Machine Head in a semicircle around me, hanging on my words. I mean, they were talking. Nate was witness to this, as was my student and his dad. I had Phil Demmel look me in the face and go, how did you pick out all those notes? They were exactly right. And I went, and I just pointed at my ears, and I said, I did it like that. I mean, the guitar tablature I had mentioned before helped me only to a certain extent, and even then, after I did that, I ended up going back and changing a lot of things. It was like not what y'all are thinking as far as notation goes. There was a lot that went into that, and now I do everything 100% with my ears. I don't use anything at all as far as looking online, looking up tabs or anything, looking up chords. I don't do any of that. I do everything with my ears now. But that's what experience gets you. You know, you can't start somewhere without starting wherever you're at, and that's where I was at.
Yep.
But I will never forget that. I talked about ragtime music with Phil Demmel. That was wonderful. I thought that was great, because at the time I was still competing in a ragtime festival every now and again. And so I don't know, because they were asking me about what kind of music I played and stuff like that. They were like, basically all of them just asking me questions and interested in my background, interested in a variety of things, you know. And they weren't seeming to feign interest. There wasn't like one member of them that was just like, oh, this is stupid and I don't want to be here, you know. Like, nobody was forcing them to meet with us, is my point. It was very natural and very much like, hey, you're fucking awesome and we want to spend a little bit of time with you because you did this awesome thing. You know, that's really what it felt like, I swear. And it was just a very, as Nate said, surreal thing to have happen. When it's one thing to meet people that are in a band, that are famous or whatever, that have done a incredible amount of significant things. It's one thing to buy a meet and greet package and shake their hand. It's another thing to meet them on the street, say, "Oh, I'm a huge fan. Let's grab a drink and you can sign something for me." Without any, that's like meeting a stranger, going on a blind date, something like that. This wasn't like that. This felt very personal. This felt like something that I don't know. I knew at the time it was going to stick with me for a while, but I had never had people, I guess of that stature, you could say, show me that kind of respect as a musician. That's really what came across to me. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm talking to Rob Flynn about I'm just giggling about this because I'm talking to him about his song and about all of the chords and the rhythms and the structure, all the things that you study when you study a piece of music. At least what I study. I study a lot of things. And he's just looking at me and he's smiling and he gets this grin on his face and he's done it and he's like, what you said made sense to me, but I just play the happy and the sad notes. And that's what I know. And I just had this moment where in my head I was just like almost giggling, not like laughing at somebody, but just like giggling to myself because I thought, I have studied this song more than the people that wrote it to do the thing that I needed to do. That not like placing fault on these people because that's just how it is.
Just write the song.
Yeah. When you write a song, and this is in my experience when I write songs or when I write music of any kind, you just do the thing. You don't think about it in the same analytical way as somebody on the outside looking in who's trying to figure out what you did. That's what I did, was solving this puzzle. That's really what arranging is just solving a series of puzzles, and then you just work the puzzle. That's how it feels to me. You have like raw material in the song that you grab from, the rhythms and the notes and blah 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 blah, blah whatever it is that you're grabbing onto as a listener, and then you just work the puzzle, and that's how I do when I'm arranging. But that's that was a super powerful moment, and then to be able get back to this too, to not only be able to share that with Nate, to be able to share that with my student.
And that was me and Sarah having an amazing conversation. Episode 1 of The Voice of Survival, again, a brilliant look back at the genesis of this show. It was amazing to, have Sarah let her kind of be my test subject for this show, because I didn't know, and I know Sarah really well. Obviously, we've had a long history past together, so to be able to sit down and know her story, but still be able to kind of tell it and let her tell it and navigate it and ask the in-betweens, that was the whole point of this. So now let's jump on in. We're going to go ahead now and take a look at the interview I did with Veronica Evans, episode 5 of The Voice of Survival, my best friend, and I can't wait for you guys to hear this. Again, you're going to hear a little bit of music. That's just the kick over, and we'll take it away now. I mean, there's like a million questions I feel like I can ask you just from music alone.
Wow, that's a really loaded question. But
fire away.
Okay. All right. I'm game. Well, I've always been a singer. I started singing when I was little, and I was always such a ham and a performer. That was just my thing. I think my mom still has old VHS tapes of me singing Guns N' Roses as a 3-year-old on my grandma's coffee table. And I just always wanted to be a rocker. That's always what I wanted to do, is just be a musician. And I guess that's just always been the thing. Nothing really else ever did it for me.
Okay, so like what's the first, are there bands that you're listening to with your mom? I mean, you talk about Guns N' Roses, but like...
Yeah, my mom had a huge influence on me with music, especially in my childhood. Being really little, a lot of the things that I remember can be kind of like correlated with home videos of us, just like when they got, like 1990, 91, they got a camcorder, and they would just film for hours, just them being dumbasses and weirdos and playing with me and playing with my toys. And like, I don't know, I have a very specific soundtrack of my youth that was very heavily influenced by my mom, and she loved shit like Guns N' Roses and The Cure and The Smiths and all sorts of stuff like that. And my dad was a musician. He played guitar when he was young, and he was always playing guitar for me whenever I'd go and stay with him on the weekends and stuff. And I just would sit there and watch him play guitar for like probably an hour or two every weekend that I was with him. And we'd never talk. He'd just keep playing, and I'd just stare at it the whole time. And yeah, they were both very into music, and that made me into music.
Excellent. So you said you kind of have like a soundtrack of your childhood, if you will, like leading up to a point. What are some of the different like bands that are in that soundtrack for you, and why are they such a fixture? Because okay, it's obviously, listen, I know, I get it. As a musician myself and growing up in a household that was very musically inclined, the whole thing with your parents listening to certain music, you're going to be into it, can be true, but at times it can also have nothing to do with that. You could listen to something your parents listen to and go, not for me, but other stuff, it catches you.
Right.
And I think there's a great importance of, I almost say like character. When there's something about a certain band or a genre that hooks you, you can just see like who a person deep down, really is. So we're talking about, your musical soundtrack. Just go ahead, list off some band songs, things that pop into your head. I know one off the top of my head that it's definitely kind of embedded in there because it was recently used in one of my favorite movies, Mr. Blue Sky.
Oh yeah, ELO.
Yeah, and the Groot scene in the beginning of Guardians 2. So I just wanted to know, like, what are some other songs that you would put on that list? Maybe make your Awesome Mix Volume 3.
My Awesome Mix Volume 1. Okay. Well, if I'm thinking, am I talking about like my whole youth or this very specific time of like when music started becoming important to me?
When music started, that's a great way to put it. Exactly when music started becoming important to me. When you remembered like...
Okay, I was 3 and I was living in my grandma's house with my mom and my aunt and my other aunt and my uncle and my great-grandma. We all lived together in this house, and it was magical and wonderful, and I have the best memories of that, and it's so sweet. And I have tons of home videos that my family has of us just being weirdos, like I said. And I guess if I'm talking about that point in my life, I would definitely put on my mix some Rolling Stones, because we had a Mick Jagger poster in our bedroom, me and my mom.
Sure. What Stones though?
If you start me up.
Oh, you like? Okay, cool.
That's the one I remember from my mom.
Okay.
That's
what
I
think Paint It Black with the Stones.
With the Stones.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite Rolling Stones song is You Can't Always Get What You Want. And I really like Sympathy for the Devil. Cliche, whatever.
Hey,
don't give a
covered
fuck.
by Guns N' Roses, another
That's
flashback
right.
to your childhood.
I was going to say Guns N' Roses, Paradise City is on there.
It's time for Brews with Dudes. Juicy.
It's not very often that we all get together to do multiple episodes in a day.
No.
I think Dick and I have definitely pulled it off a couple times. I know you guys have all done it a couple times. But I'm super excited. We talked about doing Brews with Dudes near the end of the night. I'm like, there's no way we're gonna be wasted.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Absolutely no way we're gonna pull this off. So we're gonna dive on in before we get to chatting, because we could chat for an hour or two before we realize that we hadn't drank a drink yet. So let's see what we got in here.
Man, this is crazy, you guys. I'm on Brews with Dudes again. The last episode I was on was episode 37.
Really?
Yeah, so it's been like almost 40 episodes. Fucking crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been on as well. Not as long as that. But.
Oh, that's a cute little tiny guy.
So we got a plethora of goodies here. We got that big old peanut butter stout from Bare Hands. They're up in Granger, Indiana, up north. We've also got this Christmas Strong Ale. I got both of those at the same release. It's incredibly strong. It's got that. I'm trying to think of what makes a Christmas beer a Christmas beer. I think it's the spices, the spiciness.
It's not the spirit of Christmas.
That's actually it, I think.
Happiness.
elves come out of the woodworks
Toys.
and put their sprinkle magic into it. We've got one of the Omegon Game of Thrones beers. I don't quite remember what this is. I think it was the sour. If someone wants to snag it up, take a look at it.
By all means, Dave.
And then, Dongo, if you want to hand me the small boy, that's from, I believe, Prairie Artisan or Artisan Prairie? Prairie Artisan Ales. This one is it's deconstructed bomb cocoa nibs, imperial stout aged on cocoa nibs.
Okay. Ooh.
So that's a big old boy.
This one's a sour blonde ale. It's a Queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
So that's probably what we want to start with.
My body is ready.
All right. I don't know how to get that thing open. That thing looks wild.
I'll figure it out.
Someone's gonna have to
cast a magical spell on it.
Someone's gonna have to play with it.
I could just eat the top of the bottle.
You could.
Fucking science.
Oh, was it way easier than we anticipated it being?
Gonna need a bottle opener. Oh. Surprise. Oh my god. This thing's like a fuck you up bottle opener.
Yes, it is.
This isn't like a hey, how's it going? I'm opening a casual bottle. This is like, don't walk down an alley with me, motherfuckers.
Catch me outside.
I've actually
How about that?
Murdered Nazis with it. So
whoa, great thing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Way to save the human race.
There you go, sir.
Yep, one day at a time.
I'd like to shout out Evan Brown in the chat right now.
Evan! Can I just say he is a gangster? He commented on the Brews With Dudes most recent episode on Journey into Comics Network's Podbean and was talking about how he genuinely loves interacting with you and then listening to it while he's at college or doing whatever he's doing, work or whatever it was. So he was. It's really cool to see people like say nice stuff, you know.
Pass down if you would.
Yeah, give me the smallest one. So
yes, sir.
I smell the sour.
Here you go, sir.
Ooh, I did
Thank
too.
you.
Anything for you.
There you go.
It's a long way down
sniff
to get down to this recliner chair.
Tyler's got the best spot.
You know, I heard there's a rumor going around that a couple members of Death Clock might show up on this podcast today.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's
Which
true.
ones? I'd love to see them.
Yeah, you know, I was gonna come by for a couple seconds and just fuck around, but you know,
Boogerface is here.
Yeah, you know what, Linder, just shut the hell up, man. I don't really deal with this shit right now, okay?
I'm sorry.
It's truly impressive.
I'm sorry, William.
Would
Murderface.
anyone in the audience like to try this beer? We've got some extra. It's a sour. All right, let's get some extra.
I like the audience is
Our
like, let's
adoring
get fucked
audience.
up.
They're like little kids. You guys want
Hey,
some candy?
while we have a
Whoa,
second,
get your shirt on. It's okay. It's okay.
While we have a second, I do want to shout out thanks to Casey Taylor and North End Pub for allowing us this venue to do all these awesome things.
Yes.
If it wasn't for this place, I don't think we would all be able to do all this shit all the time that we get to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, shout out.
nothing but love to Casey Taylor and North End Pub.
They do amazing
I may be
things.
the hardened knight of the metal scene, but he would probably be the savior because when the copy boys decided that we were having too much fun at the house, Casey let us do every single show since here. So he
awesome.
He adopted us, and we appreciate and love him.
Cheers to Casey.
To Casey.
Hey, to Casey.
Woo! Let's get on it, boys. Cheers. Beer number one.
I drank mine already.
That's good.
I like it. I
It's
really
really
like
Ooh,
it.
that's
light.
good. Yeah.
It is really light. I was going to say it has a really fresh ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not McDonald's Sprite. It's got
It's
a
not
different.
that crispy.
It's
It's
got a
not
different.
spicy
But
at all.
it's got like I don't. There's a. It's almost got a juice, like a pure juice flavor, like a grape juice.
It's
I'm
got
just gonna keep saying juice.
It's got like
Juice.
I like that you said that though, Nate. It's got like the mouthfeel of grape juice,
Yeah.
but it tastes way better.
Yeah, it's got a really full flavor too.
I concur.
It's like a diet sour.
Yeah. I
It's
no.
the weirdest
Sour
thing I've
light.
heard, but I love
I'm not
it.
even mad that you said that.
La Croix sour.
La Croix.
La Croix. I fucking hate La Croix.
Analingus.
Yeah, that's a running joke in the house. Anything that has no flavor is La Croix of whatever.
It's like drinking waters. People are yelling flavors at you.
Yeah. They have those Mexican jalapeno M&Ms, and it's like the M&Ms were just left in a room with jalapenos overnight, and that's well, they kind of
They
smell
took in
like
the
it.
flavor through
That's the
osmosis.
joke that I've heard the most about LaCroix. It's like lemon flavored is like if you put a can of LaCroix next to a pile of lemons.
They were stored in the same truck.
Yeah,
I like-
right. That's
I like
how they
the-
get their flavor.
I like the ones where it's like if you took what makes an air freshener, one of the like tree car air fresheners, smell good. That's what a LaCroix tastes like.
Ah.
You like those little pine trees? That's what your water's going to taste
And now we're not
like.
getting LaCroix sponsorship.
Yeah, I
Damn,
guess.
they're pissed at us.
We were aiming for it too.
We will probably get a some sort of Game of Thrones sponsorship because I fucking love this beer. It's really delicious.
Oh man, yeah, we've had quite a few. They usually release 1 or 2 a year. This year they did 3. This is Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. They've got the King of the North, and then there's one more. It's red. It's got a. I mean, it's like
it's a Targaryen one.
I think it's Queen of
Queen of the Dragons, maybe.
It's definitely a Daenerys one.
Is it the Mother of Dragons?
Maybe.
What?
He said, "Is it the Mother of Dragons?"
Oh yeah. Yep, that's it.
Yep.
Mother of Dragons. That's it.
Did you hear that she had 2 brain surgeries?
Yeah, 'cause she had 2 aneurysms.
What the fuck?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they just released that during her time on GOT, I'm pretty sure.
That was like season 1, season 2, and then they just never released.
Yeah.
They never let that information out. I couldn't believe that.
Unreal.
I really hope that they do. It's not necessarily Game of Thrones, but I really hope that they get to utilize Emilia Clarke's character in Star Wars more.
Oh my God, the Solo!
I thought she played a really cool role. And by as we cannot get into
the Star Wars
Solo because we'll go super hard.
You know what's funny?
But I really liked it, and I thought they did a very good job of setting up more. Like Rogue One. Yeah, the next episode's called Episode 4.
Yeah.
But like with Solo, I feel like you could totally move on and get more into the spoiler alert, the shit that Darth Maul got into with his crime syndicate.
Yeah.
God, that would be. There's so many awesome stories that you could tell with that too, because Darth Maul's one of those characters that's like Boba Fett, barely had any screen time, but the majority of the fan base likes them more than they like some of the mainstay characters.
Such a presence.
Absolutely.
So intimidating. The fact that he didn't talk much kind of made him even that much better.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all Boba Fett all over again. But there's so many stories that they could tell, and I'm 100% with you and everybody else at the table. I really liked going into the film. I wasn't super excited about Emilia Clarke just because I associate her so much with Daenerys, and it's one of those where I don't know how well that she could play other characters that aren't that same kind of archetype, but I loved it. Solo was great. Fuck all the fans that didn't like it.
I like Solo.
I need to reiterate something, Nick. Last week's episode of Brews With Dudes, you were talking about Solo, and you had recently had like a second watch.
Yeah.
The second watch, I want to just confirm with everybody, makes that movie a million times better. I was like, this is one of the best Star Wars movies. It does so much.
People got to get over they don't all have to have the same feel.
Yes.
What I really liked about Marvel was that they have lots of different directors with their own take on things, and they've definitely been accused of just executives forcing change down. But yeah, I really think that Star Wars could benefit from just letting things be different. Like one of the Mandalorian is supposed to be like a noir crime. I'm like, yes. Ooh. Yes, I'm
Taika Waititi is playing IG-88.
It doesn't need to be. It doesn't just need to be flying around in space battle, lightsaber fights. Although I love all that shit. Like there's a lot more story there that you can work with. So I did address the sound problem. By the way,
I will also say shout out to the our Foodies Watching Movies co-host, Journey into Comics Network, and Walk Among Us' own Veronica in the comments telling us to wheeze the juice.
Wheeze the juice.
Wheeze juice.
No wheeze in the juice.
Are we ready to dive into the next one?
Sure, man. I'm all about that.
I think we're jumping into the Prairie Artisan Ales Deconstructed Bomb. Cocoa Nibs, Imperial Stout, aged on them cocoa nibs.
It's the bomb.
.com.
I knew you were going to say it.
Is it the bomb or just the... Is it just the bomb or is it the bomb.com?
It doesn't have the rights to the website, but it is bomb nonetheless.
Okay.
Austin, we addressed the sound issue.
Is it the bomb.org?
There's a sound issue?
There was a sound issue
but
for
we fixed
Facebook Live, but it should have been addressed.
Yeah. How's the sound out there, guys?
Yeah,
Good?
if somebody in the audience wants to, if they could get on their
the
phone,
millions of fans out in the audience,
live stream outside, just let us know that the sound sounds good. That's what I have to do at shows. I have to go outside and listen to
check
make sure
it. Yeah, that
right.
makes sense.
I've commented in the stream asking if it's still good or not.
Take one down, pass it around. Are you at 300 beers yet on Brews? You got to be near it.
Have to be.
Right?
Have to be.
I mean, at least 4 or 5 per episode times 75 is...
I don't think it's ever been less than 4.
Evan says yes, there is still a sound issue. Does that mean it's off?
Yeah, so we don't want the audio coming from all the phones because it'll switch. So you want the audio coming from just one source. So we have the sound coming from that phone right in front of us. We could
phone.
We could probably get it come out of this phone over here and see how that works. So sorry for the folks listening on Facebook Live, audio listeners. You probably have no idea what the hell we're talking about.
They're like, everything's cool, guys. We've heard every second.
This is
Sounds great.
This is live stream / podcast life. You know, something's gonna go wrong, and you just got to go with it.
You guys can really touch on that, both Nick and Dick, because you guys are kind of, at least for our network, the game changers of doing so many live streams over and over and over again. I mean, all your episodes are, for the most part, live streamed. So you have to...
Interesting. Okay. So...
Interesting.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, interesting.
Right there.
All right.
Program. Okay, this isn't the way I like it, but I guess we're gonna have to see how it goes. So the audio is gonna sound really weird on the live for this one, guys. I'm sorry about that. Usually we have another source, just one audio, and for some reason I thought that if I turned them off, it would make it work.
Now it's working.
It's gonna do something. So we'll see what we can do.
Hell yeah!
All right.
So this is the Prairie. What's it called?
Prairie Artisan Cocoa Bomb.
Cocoa Bomb.
Bomb.org.
Yee. .edu.
Yeah.
Yeet.
That's deep.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that.
I actually like this too.
That's got a nice beef.
It's beefy, but it's smooth.
It's very smooth.
And
It's got that booziness, though.
And it doesn't taste like rotten cedar.
I want you guys to sit for a minute and just after you take one sip, just breathe for a couple seconds because you really get the chocolate back in that kills. It's so good.
Try to give it that when you're sipping. Give it a sniff while you're doing it.
Oh yeah.
Sniff and drink.
It's one
the sniff and sip.
You got it.
Damn, that's just to say it's sexy.
Yeah, it hits all the old factories. This one's pretty all right. I've got a handful of Prairie Artisans sitting in the old cellar. I don't think I know where they're from. They're always gifted to me because they're definitely not from around here.
Prairie Artisan, just want to say, size doesn't matter. Smallest bottle on here, beefy.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Small but beefy.
11.8%.
It's the me of beer bottles. Small but beefy.
Boy.
I'm just beefy.
Looks like Drunk Catastrophe's next.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The Dungeons with Dudes is gonna be a lot of fun after this. We're all gonna be a little lit up. That's gonna be all right. We brought tons of games to play.
I'm excited for all.
Is Siege Pong a beer drinking game? Oh my god!
We won't. I mean,
that's
we won't,
dangerous.
But
it's not dangerous.
You build so you've got your cups laying out for beer pong, but then you can add cups on top of it and build like a
structure.
Thanks, Evan.
Dick and I know all about tower pong.
Hell yes.
We used to get wild. We used to. So you'd have your 10 cups, and we'd put a board over it, and then have 9 cups on top of that. Then put a board and have 3 on top. So it's 3 layers of pong. Castle pong. Yeah.
Fucking A.
Longest game.
That's intense.
Ever.
I mean, I'm down to try it tonight.
Drunkest game ever, I bet, too. Getting through that. Thanks, Evan Brown, also saying that the audio was fixed on our live feed. We really appreciate that feedback.
I don't know that my body's ready.
Join us in a new podcasting adventure where we will journey far and wide to worlds, planets, territories, dungeons. I'm Nick. I'm Dave. And this is Dungeons with Dudes.
It's no secret that this is possibly the last of the
Death House.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
So, Twice Orphaned, take us away.
Previously on Dungeons with Dudes.
the party ventured further into the death house, led by none other than the Dungeon Mother, Garta Anvil Song. Deep into the depths of this incredibly deep death house.
Depthy.
We explored cobweb-ridden tunnels and decrepit, ruined rooms. And many things we saw, many relics and things of the past that could have potentially been evil or nefarious in nature. Of course, most of them tended to be not anything of the sort. One thing, however, when we discovered an ancient room with an altar filled with standing water and what appeared to be a pile of refuse, we were confronted with the apparitions of cultists who told us we must sacrifice one creature in order to leave. When we didn't, the pile of refuse rose and we found that it was none other than their god, Lorgoth, the Decayed?
Decayer.
The Decayer.
He will bring decay upon you.
Of course, we discovered it was no real otherworldly being, and it was just a shambling mound that really wanted to eat us and almost succeeded. We vanquished the creature, and now, as we catch our breath, we come to the final, thrilling conclusion of the Death House.
Death House.
Let's see what Twyforthrin cuts in half this time.
Death House.
Pew, pew, pew.
And we're in. Excellent. So you guys had slain the Decayer, and all the apparitions disappeared.
One of us cleaved it right the fucking half.
He Cleveland.
True.
We're still proud of you.
Yep. I Cleveland it.
Gold star. Gold star.
Does anything happen when Lorgoth the Decayer dies?
Other than the apparitions.
Other than
yeah, we kind of just like stop.
No. Your wife has lovely things to say about you.
Twig. Holy shit.
Goodness, she's bringing the flames.
I kind of like the fact that Twig is kind of like the Statler and
So
Waldorf for this
we
shit.
have
She's doing a great job. We should have her here to do that.
a shambling Watts.
Oh my goodness.
It's okay, I'm just really depressed because my wife makes fun of me all the time.
Well, she should be depressed because she married
What was
you.
the question?
Oh, don't worry, she was depressed before she married me. I'm depressed because I have to look across the table at you.
I'm just depressed.
But anyhow, does anything other than the fucking specters disappearing happen?
No. The chanting no longer. Chanting stops. You feel a slight change in like the force. No, it's just like things feel a little different.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord.
Alright, so I'm guessing that the big dead monster thing didn't drop anything cool.
It did not.
And wasn't like resting on top of anything cool inside its little hidey hole.
As you guys search through everything, you guys can be able to take a look around.
Just pulling up piles of shit.
You don't see anything. There's some piles of poop.
Does the inside? Okay.
So much
like
poop.
A little lair, it doesn't leave.
Why did the pile of poop?
Poop house.
It's a shit bag.
Well, that fucking sucks.
There's some roots.
Sad.
Some roots, some poop, some roots, some poop.
Alright, well, I guess we should probably leave this room and go explore other...
Was there another way out of there, or is it a dead-end room?
It was a dead-end room.
No, there's another path that went up.
That was the tunnel back to
the tunnel leads back to where you guys were at.
We got into the room from a secret door, right?
Alright, so we got to backtrack?
We're gonna backtrack.
Who the fuck ate the breadcrumbs?
To the door that had the secret door in it.
Damn
I
it.
want to go through the other door. I don't want to go back to where we just came to because there was a tunnel out on the other side.
Let's just go through the tunnel then.
I mean, we can go through that tunnel just to make sure there's nothing in there, and worst comes to worst, it just leads us back the way we need to go.
To the
And
tunnel.
that's exactly what happened.
Alright.
You take the tunnel, it leads you right back to that creepy room with the skulls and the bones.
And
Was the shambling what's the thing?
Mound.
Was it like resting inside the mouth of the tunnel, or did it have its own little layer up?
Oh, it had a little layer.
Okay.
Yeah, the tunnel was what it would slope down from that larger room as you guys came down.
And then this is the room that we're in now is the secret room that we found with the secret door.
No, this is the one that held the relics in it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
What was in the secret room? I can't remember.
That was
a prison.
It was a prison, and then the secret room was the big room. Secret room, technically, right?
It was just basically it looks like a shortcut through.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how many options do we have
Yeah,
to
where
go
are
through
we going
on
here?
the room that we have now?
None. Up.
So we can just go back up? Okay.
All right, so we go back up.
Go
Basically,
back up?
let's go back until we get to a point where we haven't gone in
So
another direction.
another option presents itself.
All right, you guys head back up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more chanting. It's not as spooky. Still spooky.
It is now back down to 4 spooky from 5 spooky.
Yes, I would agree with that.
You guys hit that landing. You go back up
It's
the
a spooky
stairs.
4.
Ahead of you, you know that one is the quarters, and the other one is the dining room. And then there's that 4-way intersection. There's a couple of stuff you didn't.
All right, so
explore yet.
let's go back to that 4-way intersection and let's go
Left instead of right.
Yeah, all right.
That works for me.
May as well.
All right, so you guys hit the intersection.
And we keep going forward instead of
you guys want
turning.
to go straight or turn to the right? Because it forks.
Yeah, so so we came from this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
The dining room is back this way, so we're coming from this direction. So to our right is the dining room. Then we have a path that's straight ahead and a path that's to the left. That's
To
where we're at.
to the right from where you're at. Be to the right, straight and the right.
I think to the right is the.
Yeah, we're coming from this way.
It's just the way that it's oriented is wrong. It doesn't matter. Dining room can be over here.
Let's just go left.
Yeah.
Let's just go left.
All right, you
To
guys.
the left.
To the left. To the left. To the left. To the left.
You, you knew that was going to happen. You had to have known that was going to happen.
At least go to a hallway.
My lips already started moving. I was like, oh,
no.
what have I done? Sorry.
It leads to a hallway.
Words get back in me.
All right, what is the what's at the end of the hallway?
It leads to a hallway.
Oh.
So it leads down, and then the hallway veers again to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes for a little bit, and then veers again. So basically, then it opens up into a room that I didn't have on the right page.
Oh no.
It leads to looks like a den, like there's a chandelier suspended above a table in the middle of the room. 2 high-back chairs flank the table, which has an empty clay jug and 2 clay flagons atop it. Iron candlesticks stand in 2 corners, their candles long since melted away.
Since it's a study.
Perception.
Since it's a study, are there books in the walls? No.
I'd like to roll perception for the room. Perception as well. That is a 19 perception.
All right, you're still in timeout, buddy.
All right, so with your
19.
perception, you don't see anything out of the ordinary. In the room, there is, as you get in the room, towards the back end and to the left, there's a door.
Okay.
And then on the right-hand side, there is a hallway that leads to a different room that looks like maybe like a bedroom.
Is the door closed, shut, open?
The door is closed.
Okay.
But there's a hall leads to like a bedroom.
Is there a lock on it?
Are you going up to the door?
Yes. Just going up to it.
Okay, hold on. Let me get to the right page.
Having percepted the room.
Uranus, what are you doing?
I percepted all right. It was better than the.
Uranus, what are you doing? Hey, what's going on here?
So you go to reach to see if the door.
I say I'm not really messing with the
You're
door.
not messing with
I'm
the
just
door?
kind of looking at it.
There
I'm
is a
looking
lock.
Okay.
There's a lock.
Okay.
Yes, here we are. Make our way over to the racks in the bedroom. I want to see if there's anything in the bedroom, guys.
Did that?
That sounds a bit whiny. I'm going to stop doing that.
That broom knock is stupider.
What would you like me to roll to make sure that the door is not trapped?
There's
There's no, like-
there is an investigation skill.
Try investigation.
I haven't used that yet, so.
That's a 10.
Doesn't seem trapped.
14.
Are you guys looking at the door, or do you touch the door, see if it's locked?
I'm gonna.
They're all over there going.
Yeah, we're thinking about the door
Basically-
really
Touch
hard.
the fucking door.
Okay.
Someone touched the damn door.
Throw them
So
under the door.
you reach the door handle, and this tongue comes out of the door, and
And like licks
your hand.
And like attacks you.
Ew.
Ah!
Give me a second.
Door's a mimic. Roll
Door's a mimic?
initiative.
Door's a fucking oh my god.
I didn't realize the door would be a mimic.
Oh, look, you can make like anything into a mimic.
Wow. Fucking 4.
And as you notice, this like tongue comes out, and then like teeth come out of the door.
10.
Oh, it's 17 on me.
17 on you.
Do I add anything?
As well.
Hey. Your initiative? You have your initiative.
10.
So it's 9.
Roll a 9?
Yes, I rolled a 9.
I rolled a 20. Unnatural 20. 19 plus 2. 19 plus 1. Shit.
10. I don't know why I keep doing that.
You and I have to roll again because we both got 17 to try and figure out.
Thank you for joining us, Selgreen.
Welcome.
Welcome to the death house.
We're about to fight a door.
Third. Oh shit, I forgot the monster. What's the monster's initiative?
It's a 4.
Cool. We're all gonna go before the door. Now, does it get
I
like
mean,
a
it
surprise
is-
attack on me?
it is a surprise
Get
attack
it?
on you.
Get it? We're all gonna go before the door.
I
I don't get it.
don't know. I just wanted
Does a 20 hit you?
Just barely.
Can we place our stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Do you have a door token?
It'll be a rat bastard.
For 10 points.
Ouch.
Is it?
All right.
Ouch.
Hey, this can be. Of course, I touched the fucking
Corn.
door like a
There you
goddamn
go.
No,
idiot.
that doesn't. Okay. I'll take
That looks corny.
You can now use my shield and sword.
I've already got my guy.
Oh, okay.
So it's just going to
that
lash
one-
out
actually, that
at
one's
you
made
with
of
it
black one.
and get a good hit on you.
What's wrong with the white one?
That's David didn't have any white ones in his box.
Anyhow.
Oh, turn it around here.
Put me up by the door since I was close to it.
Well, yeah, I'll say that mimic will be the.
I wasn't including my magic damage and like to hit. Yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal.
What do you want to
We
do?
all
Be
survived.
Gertha? You one without arms because you're stuck?
Sure, I'll just be the one without arms. So now do we go into like normal initiative?
Yes.
All right. Who's first?
You.
Yeah, it'll be you.
I'm gonna fucking hit this door, cause ouch, that hurt me. Does a
Thanks, Dick.
17 hit the door?
Yes.
Knock knock. Knock knock. Dumb door. I hate you. That would be a 9 on the door.
9 on the door.
Fuck the door.
I get the big figure back.
Oh, also, I'm sorry. We'll say that hit still goes through, but you're also adhered to it. It
Ooh,
like,
sticky.
grappled you.
So you're just.
Do I need to make a save?
Yeah, it's a. Hold on.
How big is this hallway? Like, how close can we actually get to this thing? 'Cause
Standard hallway, like probably 10 feet. It's a escape DC 13. It says. Basically, it's like a grapple.
Okay, grapple is
you'd be doing athletics to get away with it.
That would be athletics. Escape DC 13.
So like
Everything is
you still be able to
athletics.
hit it, but it kind of grabs you with its thing and starts pulling you into its mouth.
Oh yeah, I got an 18.
All right, so you're able to break free,
but it still hurt me bad.
Who is next?
I am.
Also, did you guys get your healing surgery thingies back from short rest or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got my spin
Yeah,
back.
I might have to spend one of my fucking healing slots on me because the door.
Well, I am going
That fucking
to.
door.
The R&D department.
It's my fighting.
Mimics,
is
Nick, if
working
you're
on
not
something.
aware, mimics are classic D&D.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I'm just gonna.
Normally they're like chests.
You notice when as soon as you mentioned something about a tongue coming out of the door, both of us went, "It's a mimic."
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Classic.
I'm gonna hit it.
Yeah, that hit it.